the fray. I say I'm living on the fringe.
Yeah, so our next performer is Roy Boucher, and we've both had the joy of being in shows with Roy. The movie Rasputin's Curse that we're both in also has Roy in it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see here. Roy is going to be performing Tarot by You. And Roy is a playwright and actor. He's been in a group called Writing for Performance with Andy Harmon for 8 years. He's appeared in 7 independent films, and he wrote and produced a short film called Happy Birthday Art that's been at 12 film festivals, and it won the Bronze Award at the LA Shorts Film Festival.
Awesome.
So that's pretty impressive.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so let's give a warm welcome to Roy Boucher.
All right, Roy. Nice to see you, Roy.
Hi, Roy.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to the High Desert Fringe.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Oh,
Yay.
thanks. All right. Well, we are going to put the spotlight on Roy and have a wonderful show.
Thank you. I am Roy Boucher, and welcome. We're doing Tarot for You by You. We're going to fast track your journey on reading the tarot cards for yourself. Now, right off the bat, I got to tell you, tarot is not fortune telling. There is no gypsy wagon here. There's no bonfire. We're not going to dance around it and bang on the tambourines or anything like that. Today's tarot is about awareness, about thinking things through from a slightly different angle than you had before. You know, over the years, all the experiences you've had, your successes and failures, your attitudes, the good ones and the bad ones, they're all inside in your gut. And every now and then somebody says something to you and you get a gut reaction. Well, that's the cumulative effect of all those past experiences. And that gut reaction is your intuition. And it's your intuition that you're going to use to read the cards. So there you have it. That's exactly what I wanted you to know today. So thank you. What? Excuse me a sec. That's my director. I just did that. Okay. It seems my director thinks that I didn't explain that properly. So let me go over it again. You're going to ask a question and you're going to pull a card to find the answer to that question. When you pull the card and look at it, your reaction is going to be the beginning of your gut reaction, your intuition that you're going to use to answer the question. So you'll look at the card. Maybe you'll think about being inside the card, being part of the scene. Or maybe you'll look around the edges of the card, top and bottom, side to side. But a thought's going to formulate. You're going to turn that into a keyword or a short phrase, and you're going to use that to answer the question. So there you have it. Is that better? Well, why didn't you say that in the first place? Evidently, we have a few more minutes, so I can put some meat on the bone, so to speak. We can go a little bit deeper. So let me start off by saying, I'm not being paid by anybody. I'm not representing anybody. I'm not even selling anything. But I am going to share with you my journey that I think has been very successful and can be just as successful for you. Now, a deck of tarot cards is 78 cards. Oh, 78 cards, that's a lot of cards. Well, right off the bat, we're going to break them down into 2 groups, a group of 22 and a group of 56. The 22 is referred to as the major arcana cards. I call them the big deal cards. And the 56 are called the minor arcana cards. I call them the little deal cards. I like to think about it like a stream gently flowing through the forest. Well, that gentle flow is representing the 56 little deal, the minor arcana cards. But every now and then, that stream's going to hit a boulder, a rock, a couple of rocks, maybe a rapids will be formed. And that interruption to the flow comes from the big deal cards, the major arcana. The major arcana, the 22 cards, represents the fool's journey. The 0 card is the fool, and he goes through life and ends up with the world card number 21. Now, the fool is like a newborn child. Everything's fresh, new, exciting, no biases, ready to get on with it. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of cards, and I'm not sure how well you're actually going to be able to see them on here. This is The Fool by the artist Ciro Marchetti. Ciro Marchetti is my favorite artist. I have several of his decks, and I always use them to do readings. I think he's great. Here is The Fool by the Shadowscapes deck. Very, very different. It's a woman on top of a pedestal, might be a cliff. Typically, the fool is shown with a little dog. This one image seems to have a fox with her, but she does seem like she's ready to jump off the cliff, making that leap of faith into light. And here's a card from Spellcasters. This is the most traditional representation of the fool. A hobo getting on with it, beginning a journey, and stepping off a cliff, taking the leap of faith. Most of the decks are built off of the original Rider-Waite deck from 1910, but obviously how they think about it and the artistry they use is very, very different. I'm a big fan of Ciro Marchetti. So we've got the Fool's Journey, 22 cards, the big deal cards. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to take these cards and set them aside. We're not even going to use them right now. We're going to play with the 56. 56, still a lot of cards. The 56 little deal cards, the minor arcana. 56 cards. Well, wait a minute. I doubt that you feel threatened by a deck of playing cards. Isn't that 52 cards? 4 suits, ace to 10, jack, queen, king. Guess what? 56 cards in the minor arcana, the little deal cards. 4 suits, ace to 10. Sounding familiar? But instead of jack, queen, king, we've got page, knight, queen, king. Not a big deal. Not very different. And in fact, there are many, many people who actually read tarot just using a plain old deck of playing cards. So we're taking all the mystery and fear out of that. 4 suits, 8 to 10, there's ace to 10, page, knight, queen, king. Now, the ace to 10 takes a journey, just like the fool takes the journey and the big deal cards going through life. Oh, and I should mention, before I get rid of these all together, those big deal cards, that's where the death card is. Yeah, I know. Forget it. The death card is not literal. It talks about endings and beginnings, cycles, not literal. If you want literal, look out for the devil card when that shows up, because when that shows up, it's looking at your dark side, your shadow side, your bad habits, your obsessions. That's a literal card. Now, for me, I think the worst card of the deck is the 10 of Swords, but we'll get to that later. So just like the journey that the Fool takes in the major arcana cards, within each suit, we go ace to 10, and then the court cards, page, knight, queen, king. That ace to 10 has its own journey, and it follows traditional numerology. The ace is the beginning, the new thought, the new experience, the new project. At the 2 level, you're going to choose. The 3, you're going to start work. The 4, you build your foundation. 5, you put some effort into it. Now you see your mistakes and things are not looking right. So you got to regroup and reanalyze at the 6, and at the 7, reassess where you want to go. And 8, you put in more work than you've ever put in before to get the results at the 9 and 10. I like to look at it beginning, middle, end, ace, 5, 10, ace at the beginning, 5 is when everything goes to hell in a handbasket and you get back on track and finish it up at the 10 level. Each suit takes that journey through the ace to 10. Each suit also has those court cards, the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. They represent your personality. The page is just like the fool. Everything's new, everything's exciting. He's inexperienced, he's ready to get on with it. The knight is exactly what you think it would be. Charge ahead, whatever the cause needs, go for it, make it happen. And the queen and the king tend to be equals. They've got the same mature qualities. But stereotypically, the king is more rigid in his thinking, whereas the queen, just as capable, adds caring, nurturing empathy to her thoughts. So if you were a female and you got a king card in the reading, it's asking you to suggest, or suggesting to you, maybe you should take a harder line here. Maybe you should use your skills that are more rigid and more forceful in this particular situation. You might be a man who just got a queen card in the reading. Well, that's saying, back off a little bit. Maybe you're coming on too strong. Maybe you should show your empathy, show that you care. So that's the way it works. If you get the page saying, oh, are you new at this? Do you need to learn? Do you need to pay attention? If you get the knight, it's suggesting that, well, okay, you're going to charge ahead. Is this a good thing? Well, how are you going to charge ahead? What's going to happen? And then the maturity of the queen and the king. Now, each of the suits do have a meaning. Now, let me stop for a second and go back to the beginning. I already told you everything you need to know. This is all if you continue on the journey, you want to read more books, you want to learn more, that's great. And I've done that, and it's a lot of fun. But reacting to the card from your own experiences, your intuition is what it's all about. Okay, back to the text here. So the cards each have their own meaning. We've got wands, cups, swords, and usually pentacles. My favorite artist, again, Cyril Marchetti, he tends to use coins. And I sort of like that terminology because coins are money and pentacles is talking about money and the physical things. So wands represent creativity and your passion. Cups represent your emotions. Swords is your intelligence and your intellect. And coins, money, career, physical things. Okay. So what are we going to do with these 56 cards? Well, I guess we better choose the deck. And here's where I want you to take your time, because you need to choose a deck that resonates with you. You've already heard that Cyril Marchetti resonates with me. I happen to own 5 of his decks. I love them. You may not like him. You may like somebody else. The easiest way to decide which decks you like is to use Tarot Sampler. Download that free app on your iPhone, tablet, iPad, whatever. Free. And it will be everything you need to continue your tarot journey. You don't have to have a physical deck if you don't want one. In Tarot Sampler, as you do readings, as you draw cards, you are going to be exposed to different images, different artists' rendering of the same card in different situations. Over 50 different decks are in Tarot Sampler. You can go through Tarot Sampler deck by deck and see samples of 6 or 8 cards of each one of the decks. Tarot Sampler has the spreads, the background cloths, traditional meanings of the cards, a section for journaling. You can do everything on Tarot Sampler and it's free. Yeah, go ahead, look at some other apps. Sure, why not? There's some on there. And then you'll come back to Tarot Sampler. Trust me, you're gonna like it. Okay, so you're gonna take your time, you're gonna use Tarot Sampler, and then you say, oh, I like this artist, I like this presentation, I like the theme of this deck. Well, then you can buy the deck. Or Tarot Sampler, of course, wants to make money. If you want to take the next step, you can download a deck from them. And that's going to cost you anywhere from 99 cents to $4.95. I did downloaded the Ator deck, which is done with cartoon figures. That was 99 cents. Each of the Cyril Marchetti decks I've downloaded, I have 2 of them on my iPad. I think they were $4.95. The good news is all those features that you got on Tarot Sampler free come with your downloaded deck. So when you have your deck on your iPad or iPhone or tablet, you have all those features. You can look at the cards carefully. You can see the card meanings for that particular deck the way the artist saw them. You can journal, you can explore, you can see spreads. It's really pretty nifty. I like it. So you've chosen a deck, and we're going to assume that what you've done is decided to buy a physical deck, because I want you to honor this deck. I want you to respect it. You can go ahead and maybe keep it in the box like Shadowscapes that it comes in, or you might want to consider making a pouch. I made this one for one of my decks. I also got extravagant one day and I bought a pouch from, Cyril Marchetti. This came with my Encore deck. You can do anything you want. It did dawn on me that a bandana would be particularly useful, because you do want to have a reading cloth. And a bandana is 22 by 22, so that's pretty perfect. So if nothing else, and you got a bandana laying around the house, open it up, put your cards in it, fold them up, and when you're ready to do a reading, you can just unfold the bandana, and you've already got some place to put your cards on, which takes me to the next step. You've chosen the deck, you're respecting your deck. Now you've got to create a space in which you can work. Get away from everybody else in the house. You need some private time here. You need to clear space. You need to put your reading cloth down. Maybe it's your bandana. You need to put your cards on it. Then you need to relax. Take a couple of deep breaths. Maybe you'll close your eyes. I do. It's really calming, and it clears your head of all that extraneous stuff that's been going on all day long. And that's what you want. You want to be calm with an open, clear mind. So when you do look at a card, that gut reaction that pops up, your intuition has a place to work and come to the surface. So you do want to create this nice space for yourself. Then you've got to ask a question and shuffle the cards. Well, let me back up here for a minute. Shuffling the cards. Well, they might come out all sorts of ways. You might get some cards upside down. Those are reversals. I don't do reversals. I've been doing tarot for over 5 years, I guess. And yes, I was daunted by the thought of doing reversals. I thought back then I had to learn the book meaning for each of the cards. Well, there were 78 cards. If I did reversals, what's that? 156 cards. I have to learn 156 meanings? Well, now you know you don't have to do that. I didn't know that then. So it scared me. So I said, you know what? Not going to do reversals. I'm going to deal with the 78 cards. So that's how I began. And after 4 years, I decided to join the Biddy Tarot community out of Australia, specifically to join their certification program and get certified. What? I did. Evidently, I never told my director I got certified. Yes, last October, I did become certified as a tarot reader by Biddy Tarot out of Australia. My point that I was trying to make is that I joined that program without doing reversals, and I still don't do reversals. I find that they kind of pop up in my thinking by the way that I asked a question. So when you shuffle your cards, if you're like me and you're not going to do reversals, I keep all my cards in the upright position. When I shuffle them, they automatically come up in the upright position. So when I shuffle them, they're still in the upright position. I mean, so when I draw a card, they are automatically in the upright position. That's how I like them. That's how I store them. That's how I use my cards. So as you shuffle your cards, you're going to ask a question. Now, no fortune telling. Don't ask yes or no questions. Don't ask when questions. I want you to ask what or how. Baby, what do I need to be aware of today? How can I be my best today? What might hinder my success in blah, blah, blah? How can I improve my relationships with so-and-so? That kind of question you can work with. So you're going to ask your question as you're shuffling your cards. You're going to think about that, and you're going to draw a card. And that's what we're going to do for a while. We're going to draw a card. Every day, you're going to do a daily one-card reading. And just what we said at the very top, you're going to ask your question. You're going to look at the card and let it speak to you. What gets your attention first? Is it the color? Is it the person? Is there an animal? Is there a background that gets your attention or a foreground? Whatever it is, accept it. Let it bubble up. See what that key word is that it turns into, or that short phrase, and that is what you're going to use to address your question. And that's all based on your own experiences. And who knows you better? Nobody. You know best. So that's how you're going to handle it. Now, after a while, you may want to draw two cards, do a two-card reading. Fine, that's fun. You can approach it the same way, the two cards individually. You have asked a question, you drew two cards, you've got one card, you look at it, absorb it, see what it's about, what pops up, what's the key word, what's the short phrase, and do the same thing with the second card. What pops up, what's the key word, what's the short phrase, and put those two things together. Well, what kind of, the two key words together, well, what does that mean? Or the two phrases together, what does that mean? And that combined meaning is what you would use to address your question. Now, after you've done that for a while, I want you to do a three-card reading, and that's what I like, and that's what I think's fun, and I hope that you'll get there and enjoy it as much as I do. A three-card reading can handle any way you want. It might be morning, noon, and night. It might be what will help, what will hinder, what's the likely outcome. And a format that I like very much is recent past, current situation, likely outcome. You know what your recent past has been. You know what your current situation is in relation to the question you asked. So when you draw these cards, when you look at that recent past card, that's going to gel with you or it's not. So that's kind of interesting. Same thing for the current situation. You're going to know where you are right now in relation to the question that you asked. So let's say you agree with that too. Well, that gets really exciting then, but what's over here in the likely outcome card? But what's even more fun, and what is the magic and power of the tarot, is when you agree with what you see and you don't like it. You've got a recent past card, and you say, oh, yeah, that's how I see my recent past. And you've got a current situation card. Yeah, that is my current situation, but I don't like it. So you've got to look over at that likely outcome card. Well, you're not going to like it. I mean, so what does it tell you? Well, the cards are saying that suggesting that, well, this is where you've been and this is where you are. And if you stay on that same path, this is the likely outcome. Well, I don't like the likely outcome. The power of tarot. This is a cardboard, a piece of cardboard with an image on it. It has no power. It does not control your destiny, but you do. So when you see the recent past or current situation card that you agree with and you don't like, and you see what these cards are suggesting are the likely outcome if you stay on this path, well, then you have all the power in the world to change the path that you're on. Ignore that. Throw it out. Choose an energy. Put yourself on a path that is going to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. And boy, that's fun. And that's what I hope that you can get to and work to. So that's really what I do have to say in the long form. I'm going to recap a little bit for you. We got the 78 cards. We broke them into 2 groups. The big deal cards, the little deal cards, the major arcana, the minor arcana. We're going to set the major arcana aside. Go ahead and introduce it whenever you want. But I'm going to say start with the little deal cards, the 56, the ones that are just like a deck of playing cards. Go ahead, use Tarot Sampler and be happy there and never spend a dime. Or if you want a physical deck, and I like a physical deck, take your time to choose your deck. When you get your deck, take care of it, honor it, and respect it. When you're ready to do a reading, allow yourself some privacy, give yourself some private space, create a nice calm environment from which you'd work in. Ask your questions, shuffle the cards, and draw the cards. So there you have it. And I hope your journey with the tarot is as much fun as mine has been. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
right.
Roy.
Thank you, Roy.
Yay.
Yay, thanks.
I just wonder if I convinced Mary at all from her 2 years to maybe she could do it after 30 minutes.
Well, I'll give it a shot. Maybe you can be my first client. How's that, Roy?
Well, all I'm going to say is trust yourself, and that does take some time. But go with your intuition, trust yourself. Each one of your readings will get richer and richer, and it's all about you. So there you go.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Yeah, Roy, one last question before we leave you. Are you working on any new short films?
I shared one with the writers group today that I've been working on.
Okay.
And I did it as an exercise for myself at home because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I actually wanted to film it, and hopefully one day it will be filmed with Sue Neal and I.
Oh, all right.
So that was the plan, and that all got put on hold. Mm-hmm. I've also been doing some other work with David Weaning. I don't know if you remember him. He lived here and then he moved to North Carolina. We do a lot of collaborative writing. We've been working on a 30-minute one act. So yeah, I've been busy writing, active with the writing group and improv. We miss you in improv, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Oh, great. Well, I'm glad that you're keeping busy, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your films and plays and things, and working with you.
Well, yeah, hopefully next year at the High Desert Fringe we can do plays again.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Roy.
Okay, thank you. Have fun.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
You say I'm living on the fringe. I say I'm living on the fringe.